Oh, I did not mean to hit record. Oh shit. Sorry, I was trying to like fidget with the camera and then I accidentally hit the record button. Anyway, I'm gonna roll with it. So, welcome now to this video. What an intro. Anyway, so in this video, I kind of wanted to address the topic of empaths. I know there's a lot of memes online of empaths and being a true empath and I am a real empath and all that kind of shit and whatever. You know the memes. I don't, but I know there are memes. Anyway, but there are such thing as true empaths. That is a very real thing that exists, right? And what is a real empath? What is a true empath? A true empath is not like, oh, I'm an empathic person, I feel empathy, right? Unless you're a sociopath, I think it's sociopath, everybody experiences empathy to some degree, right? We all do. But a true empath is not somebody who just experiences empathy. It's much more profound than that. It's more spiritual than that. Excuse me, goddamn. It has to do with the realms that we cannot see, but we know are there because we can feel them, right? And a true empath, sorry if I'm fidgety, by the way, I'm autistic. I can't help it. I'm fidgety. Anyway, so it deals with the realm of the invisible, so to speak. And what the fuck am I talking about there, brother? Well, what I'm referring to specifically is energy and vibrations, right? A true empath is someone who picks up on energies and vibrations without even realizing they're doing so and without even trying. It's not something that a true empath has to even think about or put conscious effort into doing. We naturally just do this, right? So what I'm referring to specifically is, let's say you walk into a restaurant. I don't know why a restaurant, but a restaurant. You are naturally going to pick up on the energy that exists in that space. To use current lingo, the vibes, right? True empaths, we are natural vibe antennas, if you want to look at it that way. We pick up on vibes, we pick up on energies, we pick up on vibrations that emanate from people, right? And the thing is, this is very different to people who can pick up on vibes. And let me explain what the fuck I'm talking about, because that just sounds like I said one thing, then I mean another thing. No, what I'm talking about is people that can pick up on vibes can pick up on a general energy, right? It's not necessarily specific to a person. It's just a general energy where it's like, I don't know, the vibes are kind of off here because, I don't know, it feels kind of weird here, right? That's somebody who can pick up on vibes. A true empath who picks up on energies, it's more like this person's energetic field is affecting me, right? A true empath is not somebody who just, we can notice the energy, which is what noticing vibes is all about. It affects us. It like imagine if I had an antenna up here and people's energy just emanates into my antenna. It then goes down from the antenna into my brain, into my body, right? That's what a true empath is all about. We don't just pick up on vibes. We house the energies. It literally affects us. The vibrations of others affect our vibrations, right? This is what a true empath is. This is what we're all about. And The thing with true empaths is that we go through stages in life, right? And that first stage, when you are a true empath and you are born and you're growing up and stuff, right? That first stage that you go through is the people pleasing stage, where you are like this huge people pleaser. I mean, like, you could not be more of a people pleaser, but it's not a people pleaser in the way people think, where it's like you're just a big yes man to everything and anything. No, it's more people pleaser because you do not want to create chaos. You are chaos avoidant. And the reason for this is because when you are young, when you are a true empath and you have these people pleasing qualities about you, and just inherently, it's usually awakened because of the environment that you live in when you're young, right? The environment that you live in when you're young is very, there's no other way to put it, it's a very abusive environment, whether it's emotional abuse, actual like physical abuse, mental abuse, psychological abuse, whatever kind of abuse, there is an abuse going on, right? And so what you learn very quickly, or very early on, very quickly, is when it comes to your safety, when it comes to whatever caregiver is abusing you, when it comes to their love towards you and your safety, you learn very quickly that that is contingent upon your obedience. So what you end up doing is you abandon yourself so that you can remain obedient to this abusive force. Right? So people pleasing essentially is just self-abandonment. That's really what it is. So you're not doing people pleasing because you want to necessarily get along with people, in the sense of like, let me rephrase that. It's not people pleasing because it's like, I want to make sure this person is good for the sake of this person necessarily. It's a little bit more selfish. That can be an aspect of it. That can be a part of it. But the main thing is, I want to make sure that they're good so that they don't abandon me, so that I can feel safe, so that I can feel like I have somebody, so that I have people, right? And so that entails you abandoning yourself, like I said, right? And it comes from that place of like a fear of abandonment. It comes also from a place of not wanting to rock the boat because, like I said, the love that you experience, or how you feel that the only way that you can experience love from a person is by appeasing them and abandoning yourself, right? So it comes from a place of not feeling secure in love, and it also comes from a place of safety. You might also feel like you have to do this so that you don't risk getting kicked out of the house or disowned, or whatever. So it does come from a very fight or flight kind of place as well, where you feel like your safety, or your emotional safety, physical safety, whatever kind of safety, is in jeopardy if you don't abide, if you don't appease, right? Let me turn down my fan because I feel like it's really loud. But it is very hot in my room, but that's fine. Okay, sorry about that. Intermission time. Anyway, so the people pleasers are I guess the people pleaser are true empath. The second stage that we go through in life, this could, the first stage could usually it lasts up until you're about like maybe your teen years, maybe your early 20s. It can last beyond that. Some people can even live their entire lives in the first stage, you know. But if you are meant to progress through the stages, usually that stage will last until your 20s, typically. This is by no means a metric to live by. Do not take that as I'm saying if you are not past the first stage by your 20s, then you're doomed to whatever. No, everybody's journey is different. Everybody is on a different path. It's just the general population of true empaths around our 20s is where we kind of start leaving that first stage and entering the second stage. But let me tell you something right now. The second stage arguably is the worst stage because it is the stage where you truly suffer, right? The first stage, it is suffering. You are at the hands of an abuser. You are being abused in some capacity. There's a lot of suffering there, but it's hidden. It's in the subconscious, right? So you're not fully aware of the suffering. The second stage, however, you are, if not fully aware, you are starting to become aware of the abuse and of what's happening. So the second stage is truly the hardest stage because that is like the awakening stage, right? Think of it like a baby in a womb, right? The baby, when it's developing in the womb, has no idea of the outside world. It has no idea. All it knows is the comfort and the warmth of the mother's womb. But once that baby is born, once you enter that second stage, it is like an abrupt change of everything. It is a shock to the system almost. And that's why the baby cries. That's why you're going to go through a hard time because it is such an abrupt change of everything. Because the second stage is all about the awareness. Like I said, you become aware of what's going on. You become aware of, oh my God, I've been abandoning myself. Maybe not to that degree like early on, but early on you start realizing like, wait a minute, I'm being abused. I'm being taken advantage of. I'm being manipulated, right? Or my feelings are not being cared for. And it hits you like a ton of, I was going to say a ton of trucks because that's usually what I say, but that's not the right saying. But you know what? This is my channel. I'll speak freely. A ton of trucks, right? That's the saying in my brain. But it hits you. It hits you really hard, like a freight train coming at you at full speed, right? It's very difficult. Later on in the second stage, as you progress to the second stage, that's kind of where you start realizing like, oh my God, I've been abandoning myself, right? And then that's when you can start healing from that. And the second stage can last quite a while. Some people never really truly make it out of the second stage. Some empaths just, they kind of get to that second stage and they never truly get out of it because the second stage is rough. It's a hard place to get out of because it requires a lot of self-discipline and self-growth. And that is something that a lot of people have difficulty with, right? And so it requires a lot of introspection and a lot of healing of your inner wounds and your inner child and stuff like that. But if you do put in the work to do so, and this is not to say that if it's difficult for you, that you're not putting in work. You're trying your best, and that's all you can do. If you are not destined to make it out of the second stage in this lifetime, you'll certainly do so in another lifetime, right? At some point, you will make it through this journey. I wholeheartedly believe and know for a fact, actually not believe, I know for a fact, life is cyclical. Humanity is cyclical. Existence is cyclical. And what I mean by this is what you don't accomplish in this lifetime, you will do so or have another attempt at accomplishing in another lifetime. And you'll repeat cycles until, whatever it is that you're supposed to do in your soul is accomplished, right? But anyway, that's beside the point. if you make it to the third stage is where the vast majority of people that make it past the first two stages will remain. They'll remain in the third stage of the true empath. And the third stage is acceptance and healing, right? It's the stage where you are like, I've accepted what happened to me. I have healed these wounds. And I'm going to stand firm in myself. I'm going to, you have an easier time of setting boundaries. You have an easier time of not dealing with, abuse in any capacity, so on and so forth. You're pretty solid. You have a more solid foundation with these things and with accepting yourself and not abandoning yourself. However, I will say there is a caveat here. There's always a caveat. And that is that you've made it to the third stage, but it does not mean that you are immune from potentially regressing back into the second stage. That can and does often happen to people, right? It's just very circumstantial. There may be a circumstance where you meet a person and that person triggers something inside of you that makes you regress. It can happen, and it frequently happens to people because that's life. Life is all about, or should be, at least. It should be all about growing as a person, but you can't truly grow as a person if you don't take a few steps back every now and then, right? That's part of the growth process. I've used this example in another video, and I'll use it in this video. If you break your big toe, making that reference back to Legend of Korra, if you break your big toe, even when it's fully healed and you can start walking again and you got your footing again and you're back to more or less how you were before you broke your big toe, there's going to be times where you hurt your big toe because maybe you were doing something and you thought you could handle it and you couldn't handle it, and you hurt an old wound that you hadn't felt in a long time. It happens, right? We can't really control that. It's just part of life. But the important thing is to be able to bounce back from that and not remain in the second stage, right? It's if you accidentally regress, it's recognizing what's happening and putting your foot down and being like, no, I regressed. I'm going to keep moving forward. I stumbled, but I'm going to keep my footing and I'm going to keep walking and I'm going to get back to where I was, right? And like I said, most people will get to the third stage and just kind of remain there forever, for the rest of their lives. And the reason for this is because entering the fourth stage for a true empath, entering that fourth stage of progression is not for everybody. Most people don't even know that there is a fourth stage, much less a fifth stage potentially, right? Because for most people, it's, well, I've already healed. I've already found my footing. I'm capable of setting boundaries. I'm capable of accepting that I did abandon myself and I'm no longer doing so, right? But there is a fourth stage after that. And this fourth stage is only for people who truly want to reach that enlightenment, right? Spiritual enlightenment is kind of that fourth stage. So the fourth stage entails taking a leap of faith, basically. It's taking a leap of faith in life and progressing beyond just, I've accepted this, I accept myself, I am not going to abandon myself. And it's taking that leap of faith and going into now a new progression of, I'm going to reach enlightenment. I'm not going to stop at just accepting myself and whatever. I'm going to keep going down this path, because if I keep going down this path, I still pick up on people's energies. That's still going to happen. But in the third stage, you pick up on the energies but you put your foot down a little bit, you know? You have to in that stage because you have to be able to stand up for yourself. The fourth stage, however, is standing firm in who you are, unmoving, and allowing the energies to coexist around you because you send out signals of healing. If this sounds confusing, what I'm saying, or it sounds like, okay, now we've entered territory that I'm like, you lost me in, then that's not for you, right? If you understand yourself to be somebody who needs to progress into that fourth stage, you will know exactly what I'm talking about because it's something that you felt a calling for since you were young, right? Anybody who is truly meant to make this path into the fourth stage, when you truly are meant to be there and you truly are meant to walk that path of entering this enlightenment of the true empath, you feel that since you're young. You knew since you were young, you were kind of destined for something great, for something bigger. You may not have known what it was. You may have felt like it had something to do with, you know, what career I want to go into, and that's what it is. Or maybe you felt like I'm supposed to be this public figure and I'm supposed to be like a celebrity. It could feel like that. It can feel like you're supposed to be royalty. There's a lot of different ways it can kind of feel like internally and manifest itself in your mind of what it feels like. But what it truly is you were meant to be enlightened because you were meant to be a spiritual healer for people, but you are not meant to do so without first healing yourself, right? Because the spiritual healer, if you are truly a spiritual healer, is a true empath whose life goal in this lifetime, whose spiritual goal in this lifetime is to reach enlightenment, because your job, your destiny, what you're destined to do in this lifetime, your soul's contract in this lifetime, is to reach that enlightenment and to heal people through your own being, essentially, right? So it's kind of like leading through example, essentially, is what the fourth phase for a true empath is. And I'm just going to say, I recognize within myself that this is my path. I'm supposed to go into the fourth stage of the true empath. I have always felt that in me bones. But I have had to do a lot of work. I did regress. I have gone back to the second stage. I'm kind of getting my footing back into the third stage right now. And I still have, some healing to do there. But for the most part, I accept my journey into the fourth stage. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you do resonate with the fourth stage, it's, like I said, it's not for the faint of heart. This is not a passage that is going to be easy, but it's going to be fulfilling. And the reason it's not going to be easy is because you need to be completely aligned within yourself. This means you cannot have fears that hold you back. You cannot have ego that holds you back. This requires you to completely undo your ego, right? It requires this. You need to drop your ego. You need to drop the everything that's bodily and enter a spiritual realm. It is a necessity in order to walk into the fourth stage of the true empath. And that is not an easy thing to do, because our egos is what protects us in this world, right? Ego is nothing more than a defensive wall that we put up so that we don't get hurt, right? That's the whole point of the ego. But if you are to walk this spiritual enlightenment path as a true empath in life, and if you recognize within yourself that this is what you are truly meant for, you have to drop the ego. That is a must. You must do this. And as somebody who has been doing this and has done so for the most part, my ego is mostly dropped. It's still kind of there. So I'm still working on this. It's a work in progress for me. But as somebody who has put in a lot of work here, it is not easy. But I recognize it. And I recognize that the work I'm doing is starting to pay off. I'm starting to see the fruits of my labor because, you know, when you are a true empath, you are a spirit, you are a soul who is truly connected to the universe, truly connected to all things in the cosmos, all things that relate to spirituality, all things that relate to everything. And you feel it, right? You feel that connection. You always feel it throughout your entire life. You always feel that connection. But depending on what stage you are in this true empath life, you may not understand those feelings, or you might understand them, but you feel them very like softly and subtly. But you do feel like this connection to the universe and this connection to life. But I can tell you right now, as somebody who is putting in that work to walk this fourth stage of the true empath, my connection to the universe is stronger than it has ever been in my life. When I see, for example, today, I saw a cicada on the pavement. And unfortunately, it broke my heart, but unfortunately it had 4 of its 6 appendages, arms, legs, I don't know what they would be, were cut off. And it only had the 2 hind legs that allow it to like jump or whatever. I don't know if it was a cicada or a cricket. It was something like that. It was pretty big. It was like about that big. Pretty big. But it only had those 2 legs. And I saw it. And I looked at it to see if it was alive or if it was dead. If it was dead, I was going to move it and, you know, do probably a little burial for it. Honestly, I was probably going to dig a hole in the ground and do a little burial for it. But it was alive. I saw it moving its eyes, its antennas twitching, its hind legs trying to jump, but it just couldn't get its footing, the poor thing. And I felt its struggle as if though it were my own struggle, right? I didn't look at this creature and just think, oh, that poor creature, you know, little thing. I felt its pain. It's like as if though I were that creature. So I picked it up and I moved it to a safer location that's not the pavement. And I tried to make sure that it was comfortable and that it would be okay there. I couldn't really do much else. It had 4 appendages that were torn off. I don't know if they grow back or not. I tried to move it to a safe location. You know, I found kind of where the other little cicadas or crickets were, and I kind of put it near to hopefully maybe signal those other creatures to come and try and help it or something. I'm not a cicada. I'm not a cricket. I don't know how their social life works, right? The point of this story is to basically say the true empath, when you find that connection to the universe, you feel its pain. It's not merely empathic because it's like, oh, wow, that suffering really hurts. It's empathic in the sense that you can put yourself in that position and you feel its pain internally as if though it were your own. And this is what true empaths do all the time. That's what we've done since we were young. But the difference is when you are entering that 4th stage, you do this, but standing firm in who you are as well and feeling connected to everything. Right? And you feel it much more profoundly. Because before, I would feel empathy and I would feel like, oh, you know, that really sucks if I were in that position. Like, I can imagine myself in that position. It's different from that. It's not, I can imagine myself and I put myself in that position and then that's what hurts. It's, I feel it, right? The pain of that cricket was my pain. I felt the pain, the agony. I felt it internally. But I'm at a point where I can still stand firm in myself. So I didn't confuse that pain and wear it as if though it were my own pain. And that's 4th stage of the true empath, is that universal connection. but you can only truly start this path once you've gone through the first 3 stages. And it's not for the faint of heart, because like I said, you have to drop your ego, you have to drop your fears, you have to drop anything that's holding you back. Your environment is something as well. That's one thing I'm working on. I can't really do much in this moment. There are a few blockages that are holding me back from being able to change my environment. But as soon as I can get out of this environment and get into a more spiritually aligned environment, I absolutely will, at whatever cost. That's kind of the thing here. If you have any doubts or any fears about any of this, if you're in that 3rd stage and you're thinking, well, maybe I can get into the 4th stage, but then you think about what you actually have to do, which it's a lot. It entails having to do a lot of solo work, right? You can't have another person take this journey with you. You can't. It has to be a solo journey. So you have to be completely okay with being able to sail the seas completely alone, on your own, navigating this on your own. And if you have any fears about that, this journey might not be for you in this lifetime. And that's fine. If it's not for you in this lifetime, maybe the next one, right? But if this journey is for you, you will know, because you'll feel it within, you'll feel it inside. You will feel it inside. You will know. Your intuition will tell you, your soul will be screaming it at you that this is what you're supposed to do. And if this is the path for you, sometimes it entails having to pack up all your shit and move without any plan. You don't know where you're going. You're just trusting that life is going to guide you in the direction that you're supposed to go. That's what this journey can entail, right? And that is not a journey that a lot of people can do. But that is the 4th stage. There is, I think, in my opinion, I think there is a 5th stage beyond the 4th stage. But I think the 5th stage is truly more of a mental thing, because the 4th stage kind of still involves a little bit of the physical realm, right? Because it involves changing environment. It involves aligning with your soul, basically, in every aspect in your life. That's what the 4th stage is kind of all about. So that does involve the world around you. I think the 5th stage involves a lot more mental stuff than it does physical stuff. It doesn't involve any physical stuff. It's only mental stuff. And that, I feel like the 5th stage, this is just my opinion on things, right? This is just my intuitions on this. I feel like the 5th stage is one of those things that you can tap into. If you're truly meant for this, you can tap into the 5th stage, even if you're in the 2nd stage. You can tap into it because it's mental, right? But the thing is that you might not fully understand what it's all about, or you might not fully understand what it is that you're tapping into if you're still in the 2nd stage. But you can still get like these little insights, or like these little brief like ideas or thoughts that involve the 5th stage. But the 5th stage is primarily mental. It's about letting go of the physical and entering the true spiritual realm of things. And what I mean by that is basically like astral projection in a way, right? I could be wrong about this, but this is just my take on it. This is what my intuition is kind of telling me. But like every video, I would love to hear your guys' comments or your thoughts, not hear your comments, hear your thoughts or see your thoughts, read your thoughts, whatever, down in the comment section. I would love you guys to share your thoughts on this, what you guys think about it. But yeah, this was a very long video. Sorry about that. It is what it is. I'm a rambler, yapper, all of that. But anyway, as always, please find that subscribe button wherever it is for you. Up, down, left, right, pink and blue, Dance Dance Revolution, subscribe button, wherever it may be for you. And I will catch you all in the next video. Take care. Bye.